Good afternoon. You're going to meet a slightly somber Rav, Neet Nutrition. My heart's really heavy today. I was going to discuss children's nutrition, which I will. I'll try not to cry. But something quite upsetting happened this morning. And as it's children's mental health, I think it's really important that we cover the full spectrum of what that looks like. So I have a son with a top knot. My baby has a goodie. He is being raised by us as a Sikh young man. And one of the things that I will not do or ever endorse or encourage for anyone is that we change our appearance, names, looks, pronunciations of our names, whatever, to fit in. Oh, what is going on here? Love you, send your request. Oh, I see. Okay. Sorry, I'm just getting distracted. I accept people for their differences, whether it's visual, whether it's social, cultural, and I think that's what makes the world a really wonderful place, is that we all have our uniqueness. And you'll even just notice it in my tone. I just do not have my Neet Nutritionness today, because I've witnessed my son being left out at school. And as a mother, that is so hard. And to see his little face in the line, just trying to, be strong and keep it together. I know a lot of parents that will then take it upon themselves to want to deal with the children, the parents. But it is, and I've been reminded of this today in the conversations I've had with some fantastic community friends and my good connections and friends, that it's the school's responsibility to deal with the conflict resolution, to support the children. And actually, it's not my responsibility to almost uncomfortably ask my son, like, are you okay? Are you okay? Because he wants to probably come home and just be like, I'm done with school for the day. It's my responsibility to encourage and support him in his confidence. So if you'd seen my live yesterday, you'll see I have different tools I use with the kids. We have the wheel of emotion. We find how we're feeling. We navigate through that full spectrum to really understand our feelings. And I have what is called the Big Life Journal, very similar to the Happy Journal, that we work through in terms of feeling challenged, if things are bugging us, bothering us. I've got tools that I help my children navigate. But if something's going on at school, what I don't need to do is, when my son's at home, be constantly on about it and just elongate that pain and hurt he's feeling. And it's really difficult as a parent, if you're witnessing your child going through something difficult, being bullied at school, to not be like, are you okay? What do you want me to do? Are you okay? But actually, that's probably not going to help him. It's then like encouraging the incident to carry on outside of school. Please do share what you think. I would love every parent's opinion. It's Children's Mental Health Week, and we're all trying our best to be the best parents, and that means hearing each other's diverse views. So as you know, I'm a big supporter of Body Happy Kids, Molly Forbes' work. That happens in my home. Talking about emotions, having the mindfulness, growth mindset journals. No conversation is off limits. However, the school are responsible when the bullying or the conflict is happening in the school to support the children. And we as parents, no matter how triggered we feel, how sad we feel, and how upset we feel, we should not be taking that on with the child or the parents. Like, I do not endorse that behavior. It's not something I want to engage in. So this morning, as I've just said at the beginning, my son was in line. I saw some boys excluding him, talking about him, whispering, and I walked over to him. I have to be really mindful not to intervene unless he wants me to. Otherwise, that really upsets him. So I just reminded him, and there's a reason behind this. If they are treating you this way because you look different to them, which wasn't an issue for the year that they've been friends, know that that is not okay, and that you should raise that at school. So these young boys have known him for a year and then decided to say, you look funny with your hood on, because underneath his jacket, his hood protrudes, so the hood of his jacket doesn't sit the way it would if somebody didn't have a jura, a gutti. And I just thought, gosh, children, they don't realize the impact of that. And they're not saying in a racist way at age 8, I hope, oh, you're different, we don't like you. They just have fallen out, and now they're using whatever they can to make a child feel crap. And that's really difficult because, we can't start labeling children as racists and bullies, but that behavior in itself is bullying, because now it's certain other behaviors. And that just makes me sad for children and their mental health. And if we don't control our own feelings, and I go in there guns blazing in the playground to the kids, I'm doing my son a disservice, and I'm basically showing poor management of emotions, and I'm not supporting his mental health, because I could then be showing him that it's okay to act out and be aggressive versus look for where we can have conflict resolution, and that might be that the friendships come to a natural end. Or it might be that they all move forward. And in that case, I cannot then say to my son, are you going to be friends with them even after what just happened? Because it's not my journey, and that's really difficult as a parent. So yeah, looking after our mental well-being, our emotional processing is so important, that we don't push those kind of the ego response, that emotional volatility onto our child. And it's really important we let them navigate those feelings, but also allow the authority where that behavior is taking place, the school, to lead in supporting that action. So I have raised it with his teacher, I've written to the school, because it was supposed to have been resolved last week. So I've come on and I was just like, oh, my heart was so heavy. And I thought, okay, I'm going to get in the car, I'm going to have a cry. I didn't. I did reach out to my network of friends. It's really important. Reach out, get help, talk about feelings, not just children. We as adults need to do this. All these tools that we're discussing over Children's Mental Health Week apply to us. And I leaned on them, and I asked them to hold the space for me to navigate my feelings, and they did. And then I was like, just really not getting to work right now. So I sat down to do some meditation, because I do that. And in that, I fell asleep and I had a nap, and there is no guilt, because it's crucial I look after my emotional self, physical self, prior to picking up my baby, so that I can then be the best version of myself for him. I cannot promote good mental health for my child without looking after my own mental health. So I hope you kind of get what I'm getting at. So I was going to talk about children's nutrition today, children's nutrition and mental health, but I just had to tell everyone where I was at, because how much more relevant a topic than my son potentially being in a situation at school where his mental health is being compromised because his good friendships are under strain. And I'm sure he won't mind in years to come, when he is allowed to access Facebook, that I shared this story, because I think at home we have a responsibility to remind our children, and I did remind my son, that playing games like ditching friends is not nice, especially when you're on the receiving end. And also picking on physical attributes as a reason to mock and hurt somebody is not acceptable, because you could be on the receiving end of that. And we want to look more at the qualities of our friends and the people, and focus on resolution versus fueling that fire. Thank you for listening to me. I'm surprised I did that without crying. I probably am going to have a cry later. I might even I see my son and hug him and say, I feel sad. Mummy feels sad for, what you're going through, what you've experienced. And then we'll go to the wheel and I explain to him on the wheel the way I feel. Because when we say I feel, we have that one layer away. It's not mummy is sad. I can't be an emotion, but I can feel an emotion. And then he can see that once I've hugged it out, maybe had a little cry, then he can see how I process my emotions, and that he has full space, acceptance, love, freedom to do the same. And he might not, because they have a unique way of expressing themselves. So I'm probably going to have a tiny conversation, but not let it predominate the whole afternoon. And then I'm going to ask him if he wants to do some drawings work with me, because he likes to draw comics and he might express himself through that, or watch a movie. So that's how we look after our emotional well-being and our children's. I think what more relevant for Children's Mental Health Week. The other thing I really wanted to share with you today was food and mood and how that impacts our children. So I've been sharing books along the way this week. Here's another one. This is The Food Mood Connection. Just to be mindful, some of what we read is not peer reviewed, so it's not a science. And if you are really looking for something that is based on scientific fact, has been, you know, studied, experimented, and then we look for peer reviewed work. However, books like this and Jim Kwik. So Jim Kwik is somebody really popular on the learning and development field, talk about, you know, how food impacts us. And I just think it's still really valid, given that he's got lived experience. He went through a significant head injury as a child, and he's overcome that to become a best-selling author, trainer, mentor. You know, what's not to listen to? So food mood connection. I do this work with my clients all the time, and that doesn't just that's not limited to only adults. I've worked with young teens, and when you start listening to your body, you soon realize how foods can impact your mood. So some of the headliners from Jim's I wanted to share, which is super child friendly. Avocados. I've got something coming up this week. I'll be sharing my guacamole recipe. My eldest, he's 8, he loves my homemade guacamole. So it's about having fun with it. Give it a go, see if you can try it with the kids. But avocados are great brain foods, great foods to help support your cognitive functioning. Blueberries, so we know them as being a superfood, right? A few in porridge, really popular in smoothies, or people can just grab and eat them. I love blueberries. What do you think of blueberries? Share with me. Give me a thumbs up if you like them. And did you know that they're considered to be a kind of superfood? So certain foods, fruits, have what we call polyphenols, and they are what we call life extending, life preserving, like incredible. That also includes dark leafy green veg, spinach, kale. Quick, someone give me another. Why can't I think? Spinach, kale. Oh my God, there's so many words for dark green leafy vegetables. Really, really good for our cognitive functioning. Broccoli. Chop those little bad boys. Leave them for up to 30 minutes. They release an enzyme from being chopped and left before cooking. That then supports your physical indigestion, your physical body, more than just chopping, cooking, eating immediately. Dark chocolate. Oh, hands up. Who's a fan? I love dark chocolate. It is an acquired taste. So just so you know, it can take up to 15 tries for somebody to acquire the taste of something. So don't dismiss it. Give it a go. Try different brands. Know that it's a good food. Like, I'm saying this as a qualified health professional, as a nutrition coach. Eggs, really popular one, you know, full protein source. So it's all the amino acids. Very versatile, super, you know, you've got omelette, scrambled, boiled. You can keep them in the fridge. You can freeze them. They're so versatile. As a mum, it's great to know that, right? Turmeric, haldi, right? This is one of our South Asian kind of go-tos, adding it into the meals, turmeric lattes, more absorption from adding black pepper, so cracked black pepper. I forgot the exact term, but when you add the black pepper, it helps it be mobilized and digested by the body better. It's so nice to see my coach Tash here cheering me on. My coach is the best coach. Okay, so also walnuts. I have a whole bag over here. I'm going to just... Walnuts are the ones in the hard shell. So sometimes the kids love to crack and peel them. It becomes an activity. When you buy nuts whole, you know, if you haven't got any allergies, remember that when we peel and prep them, it kind of slows down our consumption of them. So, you know, they're great. Nuts are great. Walnuts are great. But actually, mass consumption, having a lot of them, still gives you a lot more energy than you may require. So when you get pre-peeled ones, it's much more tempting, right? When you open the packet. So just a warning about that, to enjoy the process of cracking open the nuts. Yes, it makes a mess, but it's actually a fun thing to do. Kids love it. And water. Stay hydrated. I always have a bottle of water near me. Sip, sip, sip improves the hydration versus gulping. And last but not least, some seafood. You've got salmon, sardines, and caviar. Great omega-3s. Again, cognitive functioning, great for the brain. I hope you found that useful. Do you know, I haven't done lives in a while, which is why I didn't know that my Instagram live function was banned for wanting to share an image a few weeks back. And I can talk really fast, so I apologise for anyone that's kept up with me. I will try and slow it down. Always feel free to throw in the comments, ask me questions. Like, I love the interactivity. I stop, I read, you know, there's no judgment here. So just quickly looking at the time. I've got a few minutes. Good. Right, I'm going to refer to my children's nutrition page. I have got a freebie downloadable coming out this week. Please do read the headlines. Why is food and the way we eat so important for our children's mental health? So much of their behaviors are formed between the ages of 0 and 7. They absorb programs from observing us, which then go into their subconscious mind. 95% of what we do comes from our subconscious mind. So if you think about the way we cook for our kids, but then we don't eat the same food, your children will notice these things and they will gravitate towards what you do and how you eat. So health-related behaviors are formed in childhood, just reading off my top tips here, and they present into adulthood. So the work I do, as I mentioned, with my clients, we look back at our food story, and it comes from people saying, clear the plate, finish your food. If you eat this, then you get. And what I want to just advise everyone out there, when you do that, you can actually create adversity and a reluctance when children enter adulthood to eat those foods, because you develop a dislike because you were coerced. It could also encourage the behavior of eating the food just to get the end game of having the dessert. So now listening to the body and what you want becomes less important. Finishing the plate becomes the main objective. And we know that when you start ignoring the body, you start to lose awareness of your hunger and fullness, which then creates a disproportionate relationship of always feeling the need to finish your food. So this is like fully supported by the work that I do with my adults. Please be mindful not to do that, not to incentivize and coerce children to finish their food or eat certain things. So exposure to variety is really, really key. Sitting or eating at a table with the family improves their self-esteem, and being curious around them deciding their portion sizes, so don't decide it for them. Now, in terms of variety, I didn't plan this, I just happen to have this. Like, I've got this just lying around. So we've got some grapes, some pomegranates, and some clementines. And I just have them ready, and I leave them alongside other snacks. Believe it or not, I might have Jaffa cakes alongside that. Children will navigate that plane. And you'd think that, oh, they're just going to have the sweets. They're not going to eat the fruit. But they will. They will just work their way around. Another really crucial thing is if you've got fussy eaters, and we'll be talking about that this week, fruit counts. It's got fibre. Don't be afraid of letting them have and explore and enjoy the fruit. And up to 15 times that exposure that they need to decide if they do or don't like something. Just keep trying it. I think that's most surprising for some people, that if they don't like it once, they might just be like, oh, twice, 15 times. So Another really important thing is that we're seeing prevalence of adult diseases in diagnosis in children. So a massive increase in the diagnosis of diabetes. If you think of historically, we've known adults getting diabetes and it impacting their quality of life. Imagine children, young children being diagnosed with diabetes and how much it's going to impact them to then live with this, long-term condition. So when we think about what we're giving our children, particularly around long shelf life products, they contain a lot of additives and preservatives, which happen to be around the sugar or salt variety. This can lead to an increased risk of them being diagnosed with these types of diseases. So it's not just diabetes, it's also heart disease. We know that a diet higher in saturated fats can lead to these problems later in life. Please don't just think of the easiest thing to do, which I know as parents we're really busy, we do. Appreciate the long-term impact it could have on your child's life. Like, I say that from a place of love, not judgment. We're all there, it's hard, it's not easy. And then think about food and the sensory response kids have to food. So translucency, polishing the fruit, chopping it, the way it looks, the colors. Think of it as a sensory process, whether you steam, boil, bake, what seasoning you use. Children are very sensory aware, so they can be put off something really quickly and you're just like, you had that last week, what are you doing? It might be that they just didn't like the way that you prepared it on a particular day. So those are my headlines. Like I said, I am not in the same vibe, can't even say my name, that I usually am. And I'm just really grateful for the communities that I'm in. I just was in Grow, Connect and Grow, led by Tishleen today, which helped because I spoke to some mums, got some advice, and my grad community who I turn to sometimes, and just able to hold me through those difficult feelings when you know your children's going through something, your child's going through something. And I really do hope some of that advice has helped. So yeah, process my emotions. I'm going to allow him space to process, and he's not forced him to talk about them, and just create a really loving environment to encourage his confidence so that he can always navigate back to himself. But yeah, I hope to be back in a more Ravneet fashion tomorrow. I'll be talking about fussy eaters. It's National Pizza Day. So yeah, tomorrow's National Pizza Day. I'll be talking about fussy eaters because I know a lot of people have a, do I give them pizza or not, relationship. See you then. Thank you for being here with me today.